is Whole Night Podcast. I'm your host, Austin. We got a big show. We got actor and comedian on the show, Clint Howard. Welcome to the show.
Well, it's really good to be talking to you, Austin. And, I rarely get called a comedian. And that's, I entertain people and I can be quite funny. So it's kind of an honor that you said that. I appreciate that.
No problem. I'm going to do my horror segment first and then we get straight to the questions. Number 1, my horror movie review of Death Stalkers 1 and 2. Now, Death Stalkers Part 1, the timeline, the story plot, the acting, all of that is crap. It was lame. The only thing I liked was the hot girls. There was brief nudity, but who cares? I give it 2 stars. We lost a good horror legend a couple weeks ago. Horror legend John Saxton has passed away at the age of 83. Rest in peace to him. Supernatural film Evil Boy is coming out on digital and DVD September 8th. Big news, horror fans. Courtney Cox has confirmed to play Gale Weathers in the new Scream 5 movie coming out very soon. Cannot wait for that. Let's get right into it. Movies that Clint was in is 3 from Hell, Halloween, Ice Cream Man, Little Nicky, and Leprechaun 2. Which we all know that. Let's get right to the questions. Number 1. What is your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie, I'm actually sort of partial to Evil Speak. I have a little skin in the game, and I don't know, Evil Speak struck a chord with me. I would say Exorcist, but The Exorcist really wasn't a horror movie. It was a movie about faith, really, more than anything else. It happened to be very horrifying. So I remember seeing Exorcist when I was a very small child, not that small. I was a teenager, and it affected me something awful.
Wow. Number 2, how is it like being in the horror community?
It brings a smile to my face. I really enjoy the enthusiasm and the earnestness in which horror fans thrive. They're real. They're all across the spectrum. There's people of means and people that don't have 2 nickels to rub together. It doesn't seem to really matter. People enjoy going on that ride that includes being frightened. It's a lot like going on an amusement park ride that goes real fast, or a real fast roller coaster. That people get a thrill out of it, and that's one thing about horror movies is they do bring that thrill and that fright. I enjoy people that enjoy that.
I completely agree. Now, second part of that question is, now a lot of horror actors are out of work due to this pandemic. What's it like staying home? I know it's hard for these actors to stay home and can't do anything.
Well, listen, Adam, I have been very fortunate in my life. I've made a living as an actor now for 58 years. But you have to remember that actors were born to shelter in place. That's what we do. I'm also very lucky. I've made my bones, and I can sort of somewhat retire, or at least there's no pressure. I don't feel a pressure to go out and work. So as far as sheltering in place, you must understand an actor's life is waiting for the phone to ring. An actor can only do so much to get a job, and then it's up to the movie gods to determine whether they're going to work or not. And so that's pretty much staying at home, staying healthy, staying ready. It's something that my dad always taught. We're always in training. Actors are always in training because you never know. The phone could ring and I could be off on a wild adventure in a matter of hours. And in fact, I have stories that prove that out to be true. I had been minding my own business at my house. The phone has rang in the afternoon, and by the morning, I'm on my way to a location via airplane to film. So you just never know.
I totally agree with that. Number 3 is probably the biggest question I have. How was it like growing up with Ron Howard as a kid?
Well, Ron Howard is a great man. and I said this a lot, he is a spectacularly successful director, a Hall of Fame movie director. But I'll tell you what, he's a better big brother than he is a movie director. Ever since I can remember, he's always gone an extra mile to take care of me. See, I'm very fortunate. I had a great set of parents growing up. We both did. And they were there to give all the nurturing and all the care that a person would need. And yet I had Ron, who was 5 years my junior. He was always there showing me the way. He was always there being a good example. One reason why I excelled at sports is Ron was just learning about sports because my mom and dad were not athletic at all. And so mom and dad thought it was really important that Ron and I get involved in sports. And so Ron was learning, well, so was I. You see, he was 10 years old and I was 5. And he would let me play with his friends. I was playing wiffle ball with people a lot older than me when I was little. And that seems to have been my whole life. I've always been younger, always been allowed to play with the big boys. And Ron was always great. He never picked on me. He never made fun of me. He always encouraged me. And that continued on through adulthood. So, we remain very close. He is my best friend. Whether it's in a pinch or whether I hear a good joke, the first person I want to talk to is my brother.
My fourth question is, how is it like working with Adam Sandler in the movie Little Nicky and Wonderboy?
Well, listen, I had no preconceived notions about Adam. I had drifted away from watching Saturday Night Live by the time he came on. And I had heard about Gilmore, Happy Gilmore. I'd heard about him. I didn't know. When I got hired to be in The Waterboy, I didn't really know what to expect. And when I worked on Waterboy, I found him to be the most conscientious, hardest working young star that I'd ever seen. He doesn't screw around. He loves funny. He himself is not particularly super funny, but he loves funny. He's got a great natural instinct of what timing is, and I just got along with him great on Waterboy. There was one moment. There's a scene in Waterboy where there's a joke and the punchline is Joe Montana, and we had worked for a day or two, and this scene came up, and I lobbied Adam to change the joke. I didn't think that that the joke was Joe Montana's a quarterback, you idiot. I meant Joe Montana. Joe Montana's a quarterback, you idiot. No, I meant Joe Montana. I just didn't believe the joke. And he just looked at me and he goes, trust me, it's funny. So I did it, and sure enough, it's one of the biggest laughs I've ever gotten on screen. Now, for Little Nicky, I'd worked with Adam, and I got called, and they said they'd like you to play this part. It's kind of a funny little part because, he's a cross-dressing transvestite. His name is Nipples. I looked at the script, and I went, well, this is pretty funny. And I learned who was in the movie, which at the time Rodney Dangerfield and Ozzy Osbourne and the rest of Adam's pals, and I wanted to do it. And the day that we shot the scene inside the apartment, it was really funny because I don't think of myself in a feminine way. I'm not ladylike in any way, shape, or form. And yet when I put on the outfit and put on the boa and the kimono, it just got so silly to me. And I created this character in my head, and I brought it to the set, and it was pretty much roll cameras, action. And then when I did it, it was cut, print, that's great. And again, Adam has been responsible for a couple of the funniest things I've ever done because that character of Nipples in Little Nicky is hilarious. And Valerie ran 2 floors up, 1 window over. Good luck with the nipple rubbing. I don't need luck. I'm good. But from my recollection, that was on one or two takes, Adam. And again, I utmost respect for Adam. And I have not seen Adam lately. I would love to see him. I'd love to, shoot the ball with him. And. So anyway, that's about all there is about Adam.
And you will totally agree with that point in Waterboy. I own Waterboy on Blu-ray. It cracks me up every single freaking time.
Oh, the speech that I gave in out in front of the hospital. I am not what you would call a handsome man. The good Lord did not bless me with strong athletic ability or a fully functional brain. That whole run, that was a great run. And one thing, Adam, is no matter what you think, being an actor, it's a team game. An actor, even though it's my face up there, I'm only as good as the people around me. Wardrobe, makeup, my fellow actors, the crew. It's not just me and the director or me and the material. There's a lot that goes into it. And for instance, that particular night we were shooting the scene out in front of the hospital. Farouza Balk really was a great acting partner. And in that scene, I'm required to grab her breast, which, listen, I'm a moral guy. That's kind of uncomfortable, you sort of kind of go, well, now should we rehearse this scene? How are we going to do it, And she just let me off the hook. She knew it was funny. She knew it worked. And again, I think that one of the reasons why that scene worked was my acting partner, and that acting partner at that particular moment was Farouza.
Yeah, it's funny. Now my favorite scene in Waterboy was when Kathy Bates said to Bobby Boucher, "The football is the devil." It's probably the all-time favorite line. And then another one when Bobby said, "I guess that's what Kenny Whiplash feels like." Funny.
Well, all of that was written down. That was written on the page. I think Adam loves to give all of the actors an opportunity to improvise and try to find something that might work better. But it's his ear. He had a writing partner at the time. I'm not sure if they're still writing together, but his name's Tim. And they wrote good. It really helps when you've got good material. If you don't have good material, you're fighting from day one. And you can have really good material, and circumstances and the situation can line up to where it doesn't come off very well. But you have no chance to be good if you don't have the material down.
Yeah, completely. Now my final two questions are: how is it like working with Rob Zombie?
Well, working with Rob Zombie, I can almost just say rewind my comment about Adam Sandler. Although about Rob Zombie, I had met Rob and I had seen him in the rock and roll world. He was friends with Johnny Ramone, and I ran into Rob a couple of times. With pleasant results. A very friendly guy, kind of conservative-minded guy, which is where I sort of lean. But he was a rock and roller, a rock and roller with hair down to his back and a crazy look in his eye. And I knew, that reputation was his calling card. And when I first worked for him, I was amazed at how focused and how myopic he was about the work that he was trying to do. Directing is an extremely difficult undertaking because you're orchestrating a whole bunch of people. You have a vision, and yet as a director, you have to understand you are never going to be able to exactly get that vision up on the screen. And it is leading the crew and the cast in a way that will give you the best results. And I found Rob to be a great leader. He always has been. He's become a dear friend of mine. I mean, he really is. He's a guy that, in a pinch, some sort of personal thing I would call Rob and run it by him because I just feel I got that much response. He, I just, again, I don't think going into working on the first thing I worked on was Halloween 2. And I don't believe I had the built-in respect for Rob that he deserved. And yet, after working with him a couple of times, I realized this man is a mensch. He's focused. He was a guy, the first time I worked with him, I'll never forget. A lot of movie stars, a lot of people that are powerful in the business, they spend a lot of time on their cell phones. They spend a lot of time being distracted by outside things. And Rob is just not one of those people. Rob is very much like Ron in that regard. When Ron is working, he's working on his craft. He's working on what he's supposed to do. And the same thing I can say about Rob. And like the Three from Hell was a blast because by the time I worked on Three from Hell, I knew exactly what I was getting into. And I just trusted Rob that he was going to make it cool. And sure enough, I'm no clown. I don't know how to juggle. I don't know how to do any clown things. And he knew he had an instinct that is exactly what this character needs to be. Because of course that's the whole Mr. Baggy Britches is literally fumbling for his life. And getting that on screen was something that I had confidence he was going to do. And then I built a character that, he may be a clown on the outside, but boy, oh boy, on the inside, looking at his eyes, he was just scared to death. And he would, not try to be a showman. When you got somebody holding a gun at your head, there's not a lot of jokes you can tell, and you can't play game. You can't game a guy with a gun to your head. And so I took that attitude into the scene, and that was a great environment. But I will tell a little bit here. It's now a movie like Three from Hell is done in the digital realm. It's like there are no gunshots. There was not one piece of live ammunition used in Three from Hell. It's all CG. And so the fellow Otis. Oh my God, I'm brainwalking right now, and I know him really well. Oh my. Well, he's the fellow that played Otis, the fellow that killed me in Three from Hell. We were staging the scene, and like you do if you don't have a live weapon, when you shoot somebody, you go bang, bang. And during rehearsal, he did that a couple of times, and I heard Rob Zombie from off camera go, you can't go bang, bang when you shoot somebody. And it was so comically absurd. It harkened back to the days of playing Cowboys and Indians when you were using your fingers or a toy gun and going bang, 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 you're dead. And when there's no live ammunition in the gun, that's what you tend to do. So that's something I'll carry with me for a long time. Being on the set of a gruesome Rob Zombie movie, and people are playing Cowboys and Indians.
Yeah, funny. Now, I have a very funny story about Halloween. I'm friends with Scout Taylor Compton in part 2 of Rob Zombie Part 2. She's so nice. I'm great friends of her. Reason why how I became friends is she used to be in a movie called Ghost House, and I know the producer of that movie. I'm friends with him also, Rick. I'm friends with Scout, and she's amazing actress. She's great. So moving on to my final question. Well, 2 more. I never seen Ice Cream Man before. How was it like doing that movie?
I had a wonderful time making Ice Cream Man, and it was at a very important time in my life. I had just put the wheels back on the wagon, so to speak, in my personal life, and I was getting an opportunity to do a movie, and I knew it was a kind of a low budget, B horror movie, and but it was an opportunity for me to be the lead, for me to create a character, and for me to be on screen a lot. And I developed a great relationship with Norman Epstein. He was the fellow that directed it. One thing about working on horror movies, well, really any low budget movie, if you work on it for more than a few days, you develop a camaraderie with the people. It really is like kind of going to play war. You know, it's you're really in a foxhole. You're battling the elements. You're battling time. It's a thing where when you finish a few days of work consecutively and you feel like you've gotten a day's work done, it is really genuinely satisfying. And you know, the movie Norman and I talk about it. You know, the movie's not quite what we imagined. It's I think it's campier than originally we had thought, but we knew it was going to be kind of campy. Um, and yet it's fun. And it's to me there are a couple of different kinds of horror movies. There are horror movies that are really supposed to really scare you, really scare you on a deep level. And then there are movies that are just kind of like fun amusement park rides where it's, oh, hey, yeah, you get to hide your eyes, and if you got a date, she has to hide her eyes, and if you're with the fellas, you can throw back a few beers and start making comments, and Ice Cream Man was that kind of movie. And I see it every once in a while. I see parts of it every once in a while. And there are things about it I wish were different, but then again, I'm really proud of it. And that's one thing. I'm proud of all my work. There's probably only one or two jobs that I ever did where I really felt like I struck out. I think generally I bring something to the table that works and people enjoy it. You got to realize, actors, and I am an actor, insecurity is our number one thing. I mean, I'm always catching myself going up to the director saying, "Is that good? Is that good?" And I know it sounds like it's an insecure, sniveling little actor, but that's what I am. I mean, the insecurity of being an actor, um, sometimes it haunts me, and yet I feel like that maybe once or twice in my career, I felt like I was phoning it in. And otherwise, I feel like that, this is courtesy of my dad and my mom teaching me this, is, you got to bring it. We're professionals and we're doing a professional job. And no matter what, you got to bring it. So I was blessed that God gave me a very interesting face. And I have my mother's gift of gab. And all of my years as a little junior actor, I developed, a kind of an enthusiastic way of kind of going about my work. And I do it. And I bring it to the table, and people seem to hire me. And for that, I'm forever grateful.
Amazing. Before I end the episode, one final question I gotta ask you, and this is probably the biggest. Now, I'm a big fan of Austin Powers. How was it like working with Mike Myers?
Well, I'll tell you what. I had a blast working on all three of those movies. Um, you know, I met Mike. The first movie, the first movie, the original Austin Powers, I did not meet Mike Myers. He was busy doing something else on the soundstage when we were shooting my scene, and I never was introduced to him. He never came up and said hi, which didn't bother me or anything. The second one and the third one, we met and chatted some and had, he seems like a really nice guy and he's funny. And he encourages funny. Jay Roach, the director, who I happened to work with on a TV series several years before called Space Rangers. He was the director. And he was the one that called me and said, Clint, we're doing this movie. Mike Myers is playing multiple characters and he's in makeup. And we're not quite sure if anybody's going to get it. And we want to try to bring as many recognizable people from the 60s and the 70s into the movie that we can to sort for the just the spice of the movie, for the ornaments of the movie. And so he hired me. The material was really funny. The Charles Napier, the actor that I worked with who played the general, he was a great actor to work with. And I know Jay Roach really well as the director. So, that was a great experience. And that was a point in the entertainment business in my career that I got paid a lot of money just to do one day's work. I mean, the first movie was a low budget movie that I didn't make any money on. And I mean, I made Scale or something. But then the second time, having been a successful movie, they paid an extra, they paid extra, which is always good because, Adam, I am a professional actor. And, I gave up my amateur standing a long, long time ago. So money doesn't mean everything to me, but it does mean something. And so on the Austin Powers movie, adding a digit or two to the paycheck helps. And it was fun. And, the second time around, I knew Austin Powers 2 was brilliant. The third one was just a victory lap. The third movie just gave everybody a chance to sort of say hi to the audience, have fun, and collect a nice big paycheck. And listen, that's, sometimes that's the way it is. But listen, again, talking about Mike Myers. Mike Myers has done some of the funniest things ever on film. I mean, Wayne's World was absolutely hilarious, and Austin Powers. I watch Austin Powers probably once a year. I like the second one. I like the first one, and I like the second one. The introduction of Vern Troyer as Mini Me was absolutely brilliant, and in fact, I still go back and do a lot of Dr. Evil lines. And in fact, I make snow globes as sort of a hobby. And one of my snow globes is Dr. Evil and Mr. Bigglesworth in the cryogenic escape pod. That's inside of a snow globe that I built.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Before I end the show, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show. It's a truly honor and privilege to have one half of the Howard brother on my show.
Well, Ace, thank you. And you know what? I appreciate that comment, and I take that with humble respect. But thank you for paying attention, and thank you for being a fan and a journalist, whatever, a podcaster. Thanks for the interest. Because if it wasn't for you and people like you, I wouldn't have been able to have a job for all these years. And you talk about being happy that I was on your show. I'm happy you're out there too, Austin.
Well, I'm a big horror activist, and I'm always supporting horror people, horror actors, people like you, to make horror great again.
Well, listen, work up a script. Let's make a movie.
I think that's out of my terms. I only know how to produce a podcast.
Well, you never know how you're going to be next year.
Yeah, true that. So anyway, fans who watching this episode, please go check out Horror Night Podcast on everywhere on social media. Please stay safe, and don't forget, stay scared.
You got that right, Adam. Yeah!